What's good, Alabama fans? Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am your host, Chris Daughtery. Coming up on today's show, before the Western Kentucky game, Alabama released their official depth charts. So we're going to go through that, and then we're going to kind of compare it to the snap counts from Pro Football Focus on, how many snaps each guy played at their position, and just compare and contrast and, just see, kind of how accurate that depth chart was for Alabama's home opener against Western Kentucky. Before we get into breaking down on the snap counts and everything, the August sub battle against the Michigan Football Report, we ended up losing. But that is okay. It's a new month. We're in September now, so a good chance for us to beat the Michigan Football Report in subscribers gained in the month of September. So just hit that sub button for me right now, and be sure to, come and hang out during our Alabama football watch parties. Do not miss any Alabama football news or rumors. First up, we're going to talk about the defensive line. I thought they played pretty solid for you. The official depth chart that Alabama put out at the Bandit position, they had Jah-Marien Latham or LT Overton. That pretty much was pretty much exactly what you had. You also had Keon Keeley. Didn't really play that much for Alabama in their opening game. At that nose guard spot, they had Tim Keenan and Damon Payne Jr. That pretty much was what you had there. And then defensive tackle, Tim Keenan or Jehiem, both those guys played a pretty good bit. James Smith was also on there. I thought he played absolutely phenomenal for Alabama against Western Kentucky. He was, plugging up a lot of holes, playing the run really well. He only had 3 tackles on the day, but that's not necessarily one of those stats that you really track for, defensive linemen. He really got his hands up as well in the pass game, had 2 pass breakups. Just kind of seemed like every single time you turned around, he was involved in a play or, he was around a play. James Smith, I thought, played really well. And the number that really sticks out to me is that pressure rate for James Smith. Out of the 26 snaps that he played, 14 times he was credited with a quarterback pressure. So James Smith, somebody that, he played really well against Western Kentucky in the opener for Alabama. So let me know in the comments section, guys, it's your first opportunity to get interactive on the show today. Who impressed you the most on the defensive line for the Crimson Tide? For me personally, I thought it was James Smith. I thought he was your defensive line MVP on the game. But let me know at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, to the linebacker spot now. Deontae, Lawson, Jihaad, Campbell. Man, Jihaad Campbell played lights out in this game. The speed was really noticeable for him. I also thought it was interesting. They lined him up sometimes on the line of scrimmage, kind of where you thought that Wolf would be in some different packages, but a very guy with a lot of versatility. I thought Jihaad Campbell played phenomenal. Also thought that Wolf position, you had Quandarius, Robinson, Keanu, Koht, and Qua Russaw really impressed me. He ended up playing 30 snaps in this game for a guy who, for the most part, in the depth charts and everything, he's been listed as the third guy there. He played the most at that position with 30 snaps. Quandarius Robinson only playing 22 snaps there. Then Keanu Koht really not playing much at all at that Wolf spot. But when it comes to Qua Russaw in particular, like we said, 30 snaps in this game. I thought it was really interesting how Kane Womack utilized him in those snaps. 16 of those snaps he was playing on the defensive line, so pretty much where you expected him to play, kind of as an edge rusher at that Wolf spot. But then he also had 14 snaps where he lined up in the box, and, there were multiple times where they lined him up. He was in that A gap, B gap, like kind of right there in the middle, and then he'd bounce around, flip over to different gaps, so you didn't really know where exactly he was going to come from on the rush. And a couple times as well, they dropped him back into pass protection. I thought he did a really good job doing that as well. But Qua Russaw, man, really stood out for me for Alabama. A guy that I did not necessarily think was going to play a lot. I thought he was going to get in, with the 2s, with the 3s, but ended up, getting in on the first drive of the game. So, Qua Russaw is going to be somebody who is really going to wreak havoc for Alabama on that defensive front. Next to the defensive backs, the most notable thing, Zabien Brown started the game at that cornerback position over DaShawn Jones. During Kalen DeBoer's press conference today, somebody asked him about DaShawn Jones. Was he hurt? Was he banged up a little bit? Apparently, DaShawn Jones was kind of going through a little bit of a hamstring injury, but Zabien Brown, the coach, had a lot of praise for him as well, just the consistency and just being able to, if he makes a mistake, he fixed it immediately. He wasn't making those mistakes again. That is what gave him the opportunity to start for Alabama at that cornerback spot. Keon Sabb, man, what a phenomenal game that guy had. 2 interceptions, and that first one, Western Kentucky was driving. They were in the red zone, and he was able to stop that drive for them. But, man, Alabama's defensive backs, if you had some worries, you shouldn't really have too many worries now. I thought they played pretty phenomenal at the end of the day. Red Morgan, also 30 snaps at that Husky position. I thought he played okay. There's some nitpicky things here and there that you could talk about. But Devontae Smith, 20 snaps at the Husky position. One thing that impressed me a lot about Devontae Smith was how well he played the run game. And there's one play that really sticks out to me. I don't remember if it was the swing pass or if the running back was just bouncing it outside. But Devontae Smith was getting blocked by a wide receiver, and he just absolutely bodies the wide receiver into the ball carrier to make that tackle as well. And that's something that I just always love to see from those DBs. Bray Hubbard, I also thought played really well as well. And then Jaylen Mbakwe, another freshman who played really well for you. Zabien Brown, though, 73.8 coverage grade per PFF. And Jaylen Mbakwe, 71.7 coverage grade. So those guys played really, really well for you. 4 freshmen in the defensive backfield. I thought, that's something that stuck out, and I am very excited to see how these guys are able to play against some better competition down the road. Today's show is presented by Game Time. Guys, Game Time is the only ticketing app I use. Whether it's for sports, whether comedy, concerts, theater, anything that you need a ticket for, Game Time has got it. And I use Game Time to buy tickets to every single event that I go to. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and much, much more. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to game time, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest prices guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Yeah, like I said, you can get tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. They have exclusive flash deals, sponsor deals, and tickets on for football, basketball, baseball, and so much more. They also have zone deals where you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out GameTime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now on to the offensive line. Some crazy things happen in this game. Kadyn Proctor gets injured during warmups. It sounds like it's going to be a week-to-week thing, so we'll see. If it's my guess right now, I would assume Kadyn Proctor does not play against South Florida. And then on the first play or the second play of your offensive possession, you have Tyler Booker and Parker Brailsford. Both of their helmets come off. So you've got to, rally the troops. Ola Saline and Rock Montgomery go in there for a play to take over for those guys. But I do think Wilkin Formby over at that right tackle position. I did say before the game, you're not going to win any battles in week 1. But I do think Wilkin Formby really helped himself out at that right tackle spot, played really, really well throughout the day in both rundowns and in pass protection. And look, just at the end of the day, I'm a little bit nervous for Elijah Pritchett over there at that left tackle spot now. We know he played a lot of left tackle during the springtime, but for the most part, during the fall, he's been battling it out with Wilkin Formby at the right tackle position. So we're going to see what happens, with that left tackle spot, how he plays. I thought Elijah Pritchett in the first quarter was not very good. But I think, as the game went on, he was able to settle in and played a little bit better. One thing I do want to note, though, Gino Vandermark, only 4 snaps in this game. Thought he was going to be a guy that was going to be your next interior offensive lineman, whether that's at center or one of the guard spots. But he doesn't end up playing very much in game 1 for the Crimson Tide. So let me know in the comments section, what is your concern level over the Kadyn Proctor injury? Really thought he was going to take a step forward this year, but unfortunately, it looks like he might be sidelined for a couple of games. Hope we get him back in time, at least for that Georgia game. Probably, it looks like it will probably happen, but let me know your concern level. Scale it 1 to 10 in the comments section. Now on to the quarterbacks. We pretty much knew what was going to go down here. Jalen Milroe started for you. Ty Simpson came in as the quarterback 2. And then Dylan Lonergan ended up coming in as the 3rd quarterback for Alabama. So anybody that thought Austin Mack was at QB3, doesn't look like that's going to be the case as of right now anyways. But both quarterbacks just overall played really, really good for you. Jalen Milroe, they didn't get to throw the ball a lot, but that's just kind of because the running backs were doing so well for you in the run game. 200 passing yards, I thought it was solid in the run game as well. 79 yards on 10 carries. And I do think it's very notable that there were actually some designed quarterback runs in this game. And that's just one of those things that I asked for Tommy Rees last year. And he, it's Jalen Milroe's best attribute is his legs and his deep ball, of course. But man, the dude is just super electric on the ground. Also thought Ty Simpson looked pretty good in the, couple of snaps he was able to get as well. On to the running backs now. It looks like Justice Haynes is going to be your running back 1. And that's no knock on Jam Miller. I thought Jam Miller played outstanding as well. But, man, the burst from Justice Haynes when he gets through the line is just absolutely incredible. The guy can absolutely fly. He had 4 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. Of course, he had that long of 85. Man, Justice Haynes is going to be phenomenal for you this year. And then Jam Miller, 5 carries, over 10 yards per carry and a touchdown on that 39-yard run. Both these guys, man, as a duo, probably one of the best running back 1-2 punches in the country. Now on to the wide receivers. Kind of shook up a little bit different than I really expected. This is pretty much, what you expected when it came to the lineup, but with the catches and the targets that guys actually got, that was a little bit different than what I expected. Here was your top 4 wide receivers in this game. Jeremy Bernard, only 1 catch, was for a first down, 17 yards. I thought they were going to target him some more, but sometimes it just shakes out that way. Kendrick Law had 1 catch for 22 yards and a touchdown. The burst of speed that Kendrick Law has is absolutely incredible as well. Kobe Prentice, that's pretty much the stat line that I kind of expected from Kobe Prentice. 3 catches, 43 yards. He's going to be amazing for you this year as well. And then Ryan Williams, that freshman phenom who, it was never a question of if, it was more of a when. We get that answer in this game. There's not much more I could say about Ryan Williams. He was absolutely incredible. 2 receptions, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man, I cannot wait to see what the future holds for this kid. So let me know in the comments section. Ryan Williams, right now, kind of looks like he's going to be your wide receiver 1, especially in terms of, current stats that are on the stat sheet right now. But let me know in the comment section, do you guys believe Ryan Williams throughout the remainder of the season will be wide receiver 1? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comment section. Lastly, on to the tight ends. This is the depth chart that Alabama put out. C.J. Dupree is your tight end 1. Robbie Oates is your tight end 2. And then a couple of those other guys fall in there as well. But when it came to the snap counts in particular, it didn't really shake up that way. Danny Lewis got the most snaps out of those tight ends. I think for the most part, kind of, has to do with the fact that he is a little bit better at blocking. And Alabama ran the ball really, really well in this game. Josh Cuevas, though, the transfer from Washington, getting 19 snaps. C.J. Dupree was 17. And then you got Ty Lockwood, Robbie Oates with 9 snaps in this game. Jay Lindsey had 5. You actually had 8 tight ends play in this game. You had 2 more walk-ons play in this game as well. So I think you got a really good tight end room here for Alabama. And, it's really going to be noticeable, I think, as the future goes on, as we get into the season. Alabama is really going to utilize these tight ends more than they've been utilized at Alabama in the past.